Guys, today I'm going to show you how I put a design on a t-shirt. What I'll do is I'll just get a t-shirt. This one came from Walmart. I think it was $2.88. This is going to be for my kids. I'm going to make St. Patrick's Day shirts for them. So what I'll do is I'll lay the shirt out. I'll kind of figure out where I want my design, and usually I'll just center the design right here in the middle of the shirt. I'll go come a little bit down from the neck, and you don't want to go too far into the shirt. So once I have my design figured out, I'll cut it out of my Cricut machine. With the shirt, I will wash it first before I put anything on it. Just run it through your wash machine, just a normal setting. And then I'll use the Tulip paints to paint it on. I prefer this. I haven't had any issues with the Tulip. I don't have to add anything to it. It just, you use it and you go with it. So this is what I use. This has worked for me. I've done several shirts over the years and it works good. I also will use a foam brush to put the paint on. I've tried it with a paintbrush and it leaves like paintbrush marks in the letters. So the foam brush seems to work the best. Also, I'll put a couple of layers on. So I put thin layers. Thin always seems to do better than when you do it just one layer of thick. It doesn't seem to look as good. So I've gone ahead and I've cut this out of my Cricut machine for the design. This is going to be for my older son, and he is obsessed with mustaches. So I thought this would be perfect for him. And when I cut it out, what I'll do is once I get my design figured out, I'll group them together and then I'll attach it. So it'll cut just the way you want it. Then when you get onto your mat, what you want to do is move your design down, because the mat will start it off in the upper corner. You need room here for paint, and you need to have this iron down. So I just kind of moved it in the center a little. Once I get that cut out, then we're going to go ahead and place it on the shirt. I cut this out. Let me just go back and tell you what I cut it out of. This right here is freezer paper. Just your regular freezer paper that you find in the grocery store. Not wax paper. It has to be freezer paper. So, and I used the setting on here. I used the setting 3M Post-it notes. That seems to work the best for me. You can try whatever settings you like. I've had issues with other settings with the wax paper tearing. This one seems to work good. Sometimes it'll snag up a little, but for the most part, it works really, really well. So what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and get this off of here, and I'll leave you all the measurements of the words and everything in the description of the video. So we're going to go ahead and get our iron, and we're going to iron this onto our shirt. Okay, guys, so what you're going to do is you're going to get, first thing that you want to do is you want to get a piece of cardboard underneath before you start painting. That's going to be your first thing you're going to want to do. And because what will happen is if you don't, I have a piece of cardboard underneath here. If you don't have something underneath here, it's going to bleed through to the back of the shirt. So make sure you have a piece of cardboard, a piece of chipboard, whatever, but something has to be behind here. So you're not painting on and it's leaking through or bleeding through. So what I did was I just ironed it on. I used a medium heat to iron this on. And you want to make sure when it's ironed on that there's nothing lifting up. There's none of these edges are lifting up. Make sure it's just completely ironed on. And because if it lifts up, the paint's going to bleed underneath and you're not going to get those nice crisp lines. So I'll just take the paint and I'll kind of just put it right off to the side, and then I'll just take my foam brush here and I'll kind of just put it on fairly light. Usually I'll do 2 coats, 3 if it's a lighter color and it looks like it needs another one, but I think with the black I'm just going to need the 2 coats. So you just go ahead and you just keep doing this all the way until you're done with the shirt. And then what we'll do is we'll let this layer kind of dry, and then we'll go on to the next layer. And then the last layer you do, you want to peel up the wax paper before it dries completely. It will, I've done it both ways, and when it's dried completely, to me it peels up some of the paint. So I get a better result with it when it's wet, when I pull it up. So that's all there is to it. It's very simple, very easy. If you don't have a Cricut machine, you could use any kind of stencil, but the key and the trick to it is to get these crisp lines is to make sure that it sticks down and no paint can go underneath your stencil. So if you're going to use a stencil from the craft store, make sure you get something with a sticky back so it sticks down and you have that coverage there. So we're just going to go ahead and let this dry, and then we'll do our second coat, and then I'll go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like when you peel it off. Okay guys, so I applied a second coat, and I let it dry in between coats about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour before I apply my next coat. So I've gone ahead, I've got 2 coats on here. With the black, I think I could have done 1 coat. This was the first time I used the black, but I went ahead and put 2 on because I just wanted to make sure it was coated enough. So while it's still wet, you just want to peel this off of your shirt, and you'll get those nice, crisp, clean lines. And again, you want to do it, like I said, when it's wet, because when it dries, it tends to take some of the paint with it, and then you don't get your clear lines. So these are so simple and easy to make. And don't worry about it ripping. So we're just going to get this taken right off of here. And then what you want to do is you want to have a pair of tweezers on hand, because the tweezers you're going to need to get the pieces of paper off that have kind of stuck. So what I'll do is I'll just take a pair of tweezers here. I don't use you can use your craft tweezers or whichever ones you want, and just kind of pull off the little pieces of paper that are in between the letters here. And then with this, with the shirts, when you do your shirts, you want to let this dry for 4 hours before you do anything with it. Just leave it on the cardboard. Just leave the cardboard behind it. Just leave it where it is. Let it dry for 4 hours. Once it's dry, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to let it set for 72 hours before you wash it. So once the shirt has dried for 72 hours, what you'll do is turn your shirt inside out and throw it in the dryer for a half an hour, just to heat set the ink. Once you've done that, then you're good to go. You can wash it. They recommend turning the shirt inside out to wash it every time you put it in the washing machine. I sometimes do that, sometimes don't. And my shirts seem to last pretty well. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'd love to see what you guys create.